So now that you've walked through and set up your first Android project, and hopefully you've either decided you're going to run the emulator or the device, if you have an Android device, you've got that set up, you've walked through those steps. So at this point, I just want to show you a couple of things, kind of how to navigate around inside of your first Android application, and we'll make a couple of modifications. So we are starting here in the activity main XML, and we can see there that all this has in it is the words hello world to start with. And so I want to change that to hello CIS295. Now over here in the, we can see that this is a text view item. Your palette contains all of the items that we can use, kind of all of our UI elements and controls and text fields and things like that. Over here in the component tree, we can see this is a text view, and if you roll down through the properties section, you can see that this is currently being set up. The text property is attached to a string named hello world. Now over here in your values section, if you go look in the values folder, there's a strings.xml file. Go ahead and open that up. And you can see here's our string named hello world, and what it contains is the statement hello world. Well, I'm going to change this to hello CIS295. If I go back over to the activity main, I can now see that that has updated. What I also want to do is make it larger. So you're going to come down here and find your text size. Now there's a dialog box that pops out of this, and so you have all of these predefined items called dimensions. And so you can poke around in here and see as you click on it, it's going to give you like DPI, or if we scroll down, let's see, we want, see this caption, there's 12. Probably want something larger, something with a heading. Nope, that's not it. Title material, that's pretty good, 20. Headline material, that's 24. Let's go with 24. We'll pop that in there and we'll see that updates and gets much larger, much easier to read. You can also come in here and adjust, like if we wanted to change and make it bold maybe, we can come in here and in the like the text style, we could bold that. You could change the typeface if you wanted to give it a different typeface, something like that. So the next thing I want to do is add a picture. So we're going to come down in here and grab an image view control and drag that onto our canvas. Kind of try to pick a place to put it. I'm going to center it a little bit right here. And so we'll have to tell, now we see that image view over here in our component tree. We have to tell that image view what kind of item we want. And it's going to go into this drawable folder over here in your RES section of your project. And so I've got this lovely picture of a flower. Here's my desktop. And I have this lovely picture of a flower. And all I'm going to do is Control-C for copy, come over here in my drawable folder, and Control-V for paste. You can also right-click Control and right-click copy, right-click paste if you like. But you'll get this, right? So it's the file name and where it's going to save it. We'll click OK, and now we should see it over here in our drawable directory. And so now I need to come over to my image view, make sure that's the component I have selected, and I'm going to scroll down to the SRC property, source SRC, and I'm going to use the context menu. Now it's not in the color. There's a whole bunch of predefined stuff in here. It's not in color, it's in drawable. So that make sure you're in the drawable directory. And we're going to scroll down until we find it, and it's probably all the way at the bottom. There it is. So there is our lovely flower. We're going to click OK. And so there you can see it's been added to the canvas. So at this point, I want you to go ahead and run your application and test it. If you're running it through the emulator, you can just come up and hit Run. And when after it's done building and everything, I have it set so the context window will come up. So here we are, choose a device. You can launch the emulator and you can choose which emulation you want. Now I have a Nexus 5, And I've set it up using the USB drivers and everything. So I'm going to show you what this looks like actually running it. Okay, so I've got my Nexus 5 selected. I'm going to click OK, and it's going to load up that app to my device. And I've got this webcam trained on my phone, so you can see there it's loaded the app, and I can see my Hello CIS295. I can see my picture. If I could test and there was buttons or anything in the app, I could go ahead and play with that. Over here, I get some logs, and so I can see memory usage. I can see the launcher logs. I can get logs on the device. If we were making any kind of modifications or doing anything with the device, we would be able to see that. But once you are done, you just come down to this terminate application, and that will stop it. And as you can see, that flips off on the phone. So if you're using the emulator, you'll essentially see the exact same thing, because it's going to load up an image of the phone, and then it's going to load up the app, and then you'll be able to see it and test it and do all kinds of things. And if you have a particular Android device and you want to change the way that this view looks, you can come up here and select a different device. So like in my case, I just left it the default Nexus 4, but if you wanted to, like if you have a Galaxy or something else and you want to look at a different size screen, you can come in here and grab those, and you can also grab some other size devices from this menu. And it kind of helps when you're designing layout to get an idea of what your app is going to look like on various phones. So that's it. That's your first Android application. Now, for the purposes of submission, you'll want to make sure to grab the entire folder. So up here it tells us where it's saving it. It's usually in your My Documents under the Android Studio projects. Right, so My Documents, Android Studio projects. Here's the Android app that we just built. Here's all of the files and everything that we have inside. This is what you'll want to zip up for submission. But that concludes your building of your first Android app and your test.